Hi, I'm Rachel Davison. Welcome to my house. Today I'm going to show you how to make a lunchbox pie, or as they're more commonly known, an apple turnover. But we're in the season of back to school and I've got lunches on the brain. So today we're going to be using Arlette apples. These are a really good eating apple. They're also really nice for baking. They just have a little bit of acidity to them, which adds a really nice flavor in something like a pie. And of course, we're going to be using our trusty Davison Orchard's pie dough. I know we've done recipes with it before. It really is a handy item. So the first thing we're going to start doing is I'm going to cut up my apples. Now for this recipe, I need 3 cups of apples, which is approximately 3 apples. That's what we'll start with. So when I chop up an apple, I like to quarter the apple first. And then from there, it's extremely easy to take out the core. And you can use a peeler to do your peel, but once it's quartered, I actually prefer to just use a knife. It works pretty slick. For apple turnovers, you want your slices of apple, or your pieces, I should say, to be quite a bit smaller than you would do for a normal pie, because otherwise it's hard to fold over your dough and get it to seal properly. So because we're doing turnovers, we're going to make our pieces quite small. So I'm going to start by cutting the slice in half like that, and then I'm going to cut this yet into 4 pieces. And then it'll be kind of diced. And from there I'm just going to chop it up into little pieces. So we're looking for 3 cups of apples. As you can see, my measuring cup seen better days. It doesn't actually have any measurements on it, but that trusty mark right there is the 3-cup mark, so we're good to go. So we're going to preheat our oven. We want to bake them at 425. You just want to rotate them halfway through, and that works just fine. And I'm just going to start by making my dough into a circle, flattening it a bit. Let's put a bit of flour on top, and we want our dough to be somewhere around 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. That's probably more like. Now to make our circles, I don't have a fancy cookie cutter or anything. I'm actually just going to use this Tupperware container. But all I'm looking for, my only requirement, is for the circle to be about 4 to 5 inches across. That's my preferred size for a turnover. This one's about 5 inches, so let's give that a go. I'm going to push down and make some circles here. And this is what we're going to fill up with apple pie filling. So to finish preparing our filling, we're just going to mix 1/4 cup of sugar. This is 1/8 cup of flour. That's just going to thicken your filling a little bit. And then we're going to put in some cinnamon and nutmeg, and you can adjust these to your preference, but I'm going to use half a teaspoon of cinnamon and then just a dash of nutmeg. I've got some in here. That's probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon if you want to be specific. Just to pull out the flavor, we're going to add a dash of salt. And I like to mix all my dry stuff in a bowl before I add the apples, because then you know it's well blended. So we're just going to mix that till it looks like cinnamon sugar into there, and we're going to mix it up good. Once you've prepared your filling, you do want to act relatively quickly, because the sugar in your filling is going to pull the juice out of the apple, and the juicier your filling gets, the harder it is to seal your pies. I'm just going to use a tablespoon, and you just put it right in the middle of your square of dough. The more the better, but the trick is you got to have it so that your pie can seal. And to help it seal, I'm going to take just a little bit of water and just seal around or put it around the edge like this, and that will help seal your pie. And we just fold it over, and we're going to use a fork to seal our edges. And it looks kind of cute, and we are assured that it's quite sealed. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to poke the top 2 or 3 times, and that's going to let out the air so that it's not going to burst out the seams. It's going to come out the top instead. Okay, so let's roll out a little bit more dough. When I have extra dough from last time, I like to mix it in with a fresh ball of dough so that you're not just using dough that's already been worked. These turnovers were one of my favorite things to find in my lunch when I was a kid. They freeze really well. Put them in the freezer and then pull them out the morning of and put them in your lunch. And these bake for 15 to 20 minutes. So let's start with 15 and see where that gets us. So my favorite way to serve these pies is to just put a little bit of your favorite icing or even a very simple glaze on the top. Of course, you can eat them warm with ice cream or just by themselves, or sprinkle a bit of cinnamon sugar on top. But this is my favorite. It reminds me of my childhood. So to make a very simple glaze, I'm just going to put a little bit of icing sugar into a measuring cup. And all I'm going to do is add a little bit of cream. Now, it surprises me every time how little cream you need to make this into the right consistency. So we're just going to start like that and see where that gets us. Need a little bit more. That's better. So it's still going to run off of our spoon, but it's just a little bit more hesitant to come off. So that's perfect. So 15 minutes has gone by, and let's check on our pies to see if they're fully cooked. You can see that they're starting to bubble out from the holes that we made. That's a really good sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fork and I'm just going to ease it into one of those holes and see if there's any resistance from the apples. The apples feel quite cooked, so I think that they look really good. Now it just depends how dark you like your pastry. So if you like your pastry that color, then they're done. Like it a little bit darker, then you can put it back in for a minute. I'm not gonna leave them on the pan very long. I'm gonna take them off and put them on the cooling rack so that our pastry doesn't get soggy on the bottom. Before you glaze your pie, you want it to be completely cool. Otherwise your icing is just gonna melt and pour all over. Now you have to be a little bit patient when you're doing this. As the icing comes down, I'm gently just gonna start moving the measuring cup back and forth like this, so you don't get a big gloop right off the bat. And as it starts to come out, I'm just going to zigzag it across the pie like that. Sometimes it goes off the pie a little bit, that's okay, it just looks artistic. Just turn our measuring cup like that to stop. And voila, we've got ourselves some apple turnovers. We're ready for the perfect snack. If you found this video helpful, you can hit the like button and subscribe for future videos.